Also keep in mind that when they say with perfect usage, what they mean is that the people who had them fail reported perfect usage. A reasonable chunk of those people probably did make an error in usage, it's just that either they didn't know they made a mistake or they were embarrassed about making a mistake, so they said they did use it perfectly. Therefore it must be the condom's fault. There were no researchers watching people shag to make sure they were using the condoms correctly. I want to be a researcher involved in a clinical study of anticonceptives. Hired. Now watch this couple. And each time they get dirty, watch closely and fill this spreadsheet on their condom usage. Quote. Well. Keep in mind, that's the annual fail rate. So, they prevent pregnancy in 98% of couples using exclusively condoms for a year. Mistakes happen. Things break or slip off. It's still vastly better than any other non-hormonal method. Edit. Yeah, I'm wrong about this second point. Condoms are great, but there are other great non-hormonal methods, too. Also keep in mind that the Pearl Index, estimated pregnancies in a year for a given contraceptive method, of 2% is for optimal usage, while the actual index for usual couples using it is around 18%. Accounts for foreplay, delays, slips, forgetting. This number varies among populations and studies. I got this number from a OBGYN class in Brazil, but we have actual figures as kindly provided by you, Suzanne O. 2 to 12% as provided by www.profamilia.de, 15% as provided by www.plannedparenthood.org. On top of other answers, corporate lawyers will never allow anyone to say 100% when marketing a product. Declaring a 2% failure rate provides for significant protection from lawsuits. Is that what my Lysol kills 99.99999% of germs? Condoms rip. The 2% fail rate refers to chances of having your bag rip while carrying groceries. It's not saying semen gets through an intact bag 2% of the time. I read that it didn't have to do with faulty latex, so I assumed that meant it didn't have to do with breaking or ripping. Ever had it fall off and end up inside a vagina? Yeah, that happens too. So what do you do then? Gotta reach up in there? Asterisk 98% effective when used as the primary birth control method for a year by the typical sexually active person. This is false. A typical sexually active person using condoms will experience a 13% failure rate over the course of a year. That 2%, 98% figure is for asterisk perfect use. You should never assume that you or anyone else is going to fall into the perfect use category. We usually define success rates for contraception as the number of women out of 100 who get pregnant in 1 year using that as their only form of contraception. So by that metric, condoms are 82% effective. Compare that to pull-out, 78% effective, and the pill, 91% effective. Source: https://www.acog.org/womens-health/infographics/effectiveness-of-birth-control-methods. So why the low rate for condoms? Some is the condom breaking. Most is putting it on wrong, taking it off wrong, or forgetting to use it completely. Why would forgetting to use a condom contribute to the success rate of using condoms? Because it has a chance of tearing or slipping off. I've heard many stories about the slipping off one, so it seems fairly common. How does it slip off? Is that not preventable? Damn, I can't remember the names. Basically it covers failures in contraceptive and failures in the use of contraceptives. There's fancy names for these things that I can't recall. Edit. Oh, it's perfect use and typical use. One major error I've heard people make is not realizing pre-ejaculate still contains sperm cells. Maybe not as much as actual semen, but enough. I've heard of people having unprotected sex for a good portion of time and then, as they feel they're reaching climax, they'll stop and put the condom on. That's really just my understanding of how people end up pregnant after swearing up and down that whoever had the penis was wearing a condom. Sure, they did in the end. But it's kind of like putting a mask on 15 minutes into being in a room full of sick people. This is why comprehensive sex education matters. Pre-ejaculate can contain sperm cells. The bulbourethral gland produces pre-ejaculate, or Cowper's fluid, but is located further down the ejaculatory route than the prostate. There have been studies, albeit a limited number of them, that show prevalence of sperm in pre-ejaculate varies widely. There are some times where no sperm is present, or samples with incredibly large amounts. Not disagreeing with you at all, just wanted to share. What? They should put that on the box. Well, they should put it in big block letters. The 2% is human mistakes. This includes putting it on wrong. Putting it on after already having put the penis in the vagina. Wrong sizing, storing it incorrectly, etc. I don't remember where I know this from, but I'm positive it was a human sexuality course. Greater than putting it on after already having put the penis in the vagina. I'd like to see that magic trick. The numbers on the pack refers to when the condoms are tested in a laboratory. They test the condoms in different ways. Amongst others, they inflate them, test the rubber band in the bottom, fill them with water, shock them with electricity. They also don't just test if semen will pass through, but also other fluids like blood. They also test if the condom fails, by tearing or slipping. How often girls get pregnant when the man uses a condom during sex is closer to 15%, because condoms often fail because of the way they are used. The condoms can get damaged. The user uses the wrong size, sabotage, and sometimes you get a lemon. But they still work 85% of the time, and you can improve those odds by using and storing them correctly. The only contraception worse than a condom is to use two condoms. They rub against each other and they tear. But condoms are the only protection against diseases which can spread through sex. And for those, condoms are more effective, probably more than 95% effective. With enough booze or drugs in your system, you can go soft and have the condom simply fall off without anyone noticing. Not being 18 anymore can have that effect as well. People use them wrong. I never understood this either, and then I had a friend tell me about her first time. They would essentially have unprotected sex, and then when he would be ready to finish, he'd pull out, put the condom on, and then continue. Needless to say, there's some room for error there. My 2 cents. Condoms are very effective when you use them right. Sometimes they do fail, are accused of failing. People sue. I will write 98% effective and avoid being sued by a lot of people who don't use them right, or don't use them at all. The pull-out method works great. Just don't jizz in your partner. Well, it did until my wife got pregnant anyway. Call Maury. Greater than with perfect usage, no human error. This is incorrect and is exactly the point. It takes into account all usage, including people forgetting to use one. Of course, it's not going to be 100% effective if you're not using it. You will never read a company say something works 100% of the time. Then if it ever failed, they would get sued so bad. Track 100 couples for a year using a specific form of BC. At the end, how many got pregnant? That's 2%. Improper use, breakage, failure to use, etc. How'd the condom fail? We got drunk and left it in the drawer.